Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into an absolutely wild story of paranoia, secret codes, and a betrayal that just hits you in the gut. It's all happening inside a high-stakes strategy game on Diiscord, and after a really chaotic vote, the players are scrambling. Trust is basically gone. So let's break it all down.
You know, this one quote from a player named Gall just perfectly sums up the entire vibe of this game right now. Imagine it. You're surrounded by chaos, by lies, and you're desperately trying to find just one person, one little island of quiet you can actually depend on. That's the core of what we're talking about today. How do you find trust when you're drowning in madness?
Okay, so here's the setup. A player just got voted out, and it sent total shockwaves through both tribes. Old alliances? Shattered. The whole game board has been flipped upside down, and now every single player is looking over their shoulder asking, who can I trust? And maybe more importantly, who's coming for me next? Now, think about this. The whole game is played through text on Discord. So communication is everything. But how do you strategize with your allies when you know your enemies are reading every single word in the public channels? Well, you get clever. You create a secret language. And that leads us to a pretty incredible discovery. It all started with this little guy, a frog emoji. A player named Ina sent it, and to most people, it was nothing, just a frog. But for two players, Roe and Gall, it was a massive red flag. See, they knew the emoji code their alliance was using, and the frog was definitely not on the list. Right away, they knew another code had to exist, a secret conversation happening right under their noses. And boom, here it is. This is the smoking gun. On the left, you've got the emoji key that everyone in their alliance was supposed to be using. But look at the right. That's a completely different secret legend. The assignments are all different. This is hard proof that a secret sub-alliance is operating in the shadows. It confirms every paranoid fear Roe and Gal had. They were right. All right, so let's start with our first tribe, Skull. And honestly, this place is just a tangled, messy web of lies right now.
So you gotta meet Gabriel. This meme, which one of the game's fans made, it nails him perfectly. He's positioned himself as the godfather, the guy everyone runs to, the guy everyone trusts. He's collecting besties like Gru collects minions, making every single person feel like they are his number one.
And I mean, just look at the scale of his social game here. Player after player is confiding in him. Ella literally calls him her bestie. Lodum says he's her closest friend here. Ina is feeding him secret info from other groups. Eli, Asaf, they all think Gabriel's their guy. He has made himself the absolute center of all information in this tribe. But is he playing for them? Yeah, not so much. Here, in his private confessional, we get to see the real Gabriel. While he's telling his bestie Ella that everything's okay, he's privately thinking she's a total liability. He sees her as reckless and worse, a threat to his game. And he's already planning to get rid of her with his other closest ally, Lotem. It's just ruthless, cold, and calculated. Okay, let's switch gears. While Skal is drowning in lies, our second tribe, Slanche, is actually trying to build something new out of the wreckage. A very fragile truce. So Vova and David, their closest ally, just got blindsided, and they know they're next on the chopping block. So what do? They go on what they call a damage control tour. Vova actually goes and has a really tense but smart talk with Eric, the guy who just tried to vote him out. Then he connects with Mariah, another big threat. They basically realize, hey, we're both targets, let's team up. And just like that, a new, shaky four-person alliance is born to take on the majority. And this quote from Vova to Mariah, it just perfectly captures the spirit of this new group. There are no illusions. They know they're the underdogs. They totally embrace it with this dark sense of humor, casting themselves as the leader and the evil Russian genius. This isn't an alliance built on friendship. It's built on pure, pragmatic survival. And just to give you a sense of how intense this is for the players, you have to see this meme one of them made. On the right, you have the ridiculous complexity of the guidelines for the immunity challenge in Discord Survivor. And on the left, the much simpler topic of the meaning of life and the universe. It's hilarious, but it's also so telling about how all-consuming this game has become for them. Well, that obsession is about to get tested in a big way. The next part of the game is an immunity challenge. It's a live, super high-pressure math competition. The winner is safe. The loser, they have to turn on one of their own and vote them out. So, the challenge kicks off, and it is a brutal, high-speed math gauntlet. Skal gets hit hard, and early. Rowie is the very first player knocked out. By round 6, his tribe mate Asaf is gone too. It gets close, but in the end, it's not enough. Tribe Skal loses. They're heading to tribal council. And this is it. This is the moment of truth. All that scheming, all the secret alliances, all of Gabri's so-called besties, it all comes down to this. The whispers have to stop. Real votes have to be cast. And that web of lies that Gabri built so carefully, it is about to get put to the ultimate test. It's about to snap. What happens next is one of the most dramatic, personal, and frankly shocking betrayals of the game so far. The plan everyone thought was happening, that wasn't the real plan at all. So, publicly, it seemed like the tribe was split between two targets. The majority alliance was saying they were going to vote for Rowie. The minority was targeting Lotem. It looked like a simple numbers game, right? It could only go one of two ways. But the actual results is a total stunner. It was a perfectly executed blindside. The powerful 6-person alliance split their votes. They put 4 on Rowie, which was enough to send him home. Then they threw 2 decoy votes on Gal just to be safe. Rowie and Gal's 2 votes for Lotem, totally meaningless. They were completely and utterly betrayed. And this is where it gets truly painful. In his final words, Rowie singles out Inna, someone he thought he had a real connection with. He brings up a deeply personal story he'd shared with her about his sister, a moment of genuine vulnerability. His final message isn't about strategy. It's about a human line being crossed. Just a raw, emotional gut punch that reminds you these are real people behind the screen. And to just punctuate how cold-blooded this game can be, here's a meme of what was actually happening in the chat during that tribal council. As Rowie is typing out these emotional final words, Asaph, one of the people who just voted him out, bluntly tells him to shut up. It is just a stark, almost darkly funny reminder of the brutal dynamics at play here. So, wow. After that incredibly dramatic vote, where does the game even stand? The dust is settling, Rowie is gone, and the entire power structure of this game has been shaken up. Let's take a look at the new map. This chart shows us who is holding the hidden power. We've got 3 different players with immunity idols, which can literally cancel out votes against them. And Gal still has this bag search advantage, which lets him secretly peek at another player's stuff. These are wildcards that could completely blow up the game at any second. And all of that brings us to our final thought. Gabri, he pulled off the blindside. He's sitting at the center of his web holding everyone's secrets. On paper, he seems to be in complete control. But in a game this chaotic, where paranoia is the main currency and betrayals get this personal, you have to ask, is knowing everything really power? Or does it just paint the biggest target on your back?